Noile Virtual Academy, we are back. Let's solve this problem for the proficiency exam or SAT or your final exams. Use factoring to solve this equation. Obviously, one way would be to work your way backwards. If this four options here, if any one of them will be the possible answer, well, you should work backwards by multiplying whatever binomials you have in each one of them, right? And if I have x equal to and x equals 5, right? X equals 2 or x equals 5, these two are telling me that I had x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0 as the factors of this, the possible factors of this given trinomials, right? Which means its factorization, its factors will be x minus 2 times x minus 5, and that should be 0. How did I get that? Well, from here you take away 2 from both sides, and on the second one, right, you take 5 away from both sides, and that's how you get x minus 5 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. And this should be the factors of my trinomial. But if you check just the product of the last two terms, minus 2 or negative 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, but it has to be positive 5, which tells me this is not a good thing. Okay? If I'm going with the second one, x equals 2 or x equals negative 5, x equals 2 or x equals negative 5, from the first one, subtracting 2 from both sides, I have x minus 2 equals 0 as one possible factor. From the second one, I have x plus 5 equals 0 as a possible factor. Okay? Which means my trinomial will be x minus 2 times x plus 5. Checking the last term's product, minus 2 times 5 is going to be negative 10. I need to get a positive 5. So this is not good also. Okay? Let's go with the next one. X equals negative 1/2, right? And x equals 5 gives me two possible factors of x plus 1/2 and x minus 5, right? Which means my trinomial could be x plus 1/2 times x minus 5. Multiplying the last two terms here, right, you get 1/2 times negative 5. Well, one is positive, one is negative. The product has to be positive, and it seems that this cannot be the answer either, right? And obviously there is only one left, which you should check. I have x equals 1/2 and x equals 5. Okay, that gives you first factor x minus 1/2, the second one x minus 5. Each one equals 0, right? Which means your trinomial will be x minus 1/2 times x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, well, let's multiply that. Well, if you look at the last two terms, some of you may say that, hey, negative 1/2 times negative 5 is going to be positive 5/2, and I need the 5. Right, but how about multiplying both sides by 2? What do you get? And I'm multiplying this 2 to everything inside the first parenthesis, which gives me 2x minus 1, right, as the first factor, times x minus 5, everything equals 0, because 0 times 2 is 0. Now if you do the FOIL in here, right, the FOIL, multiply the first, the outer, the inner, and the last, 2x times x is going to be 2x squared. Outer terms, 2x times negative 5 is going to be negative 10x. Inner terms, negative 1 times x, negative x. And last terms, negative 1 times negative 5 is going to be positive 5. Everything equals 0. Combining your like terms, you get 2x squared minus 11x, right? Because negative 10x minus x is negative 11x, plus 5 equals 0. And yes, indeed, this is the trinomial we started with. And this is one way to find the right answer. Okay, one way to say yes. The last one is the good answer. But supposing you don't want to go this way, and you want to try a different one. Well, let's try, another way to factor this trinomial. Which could be another way? And you guys know that regardless which way are you going to solve this problem, you need to get the same answer, because if not, you're doing something wrong. If I would choose a different path, I'm going to take my trinomial and I'm supposing that this is factorable, okay? Which, by the way, you can check by the quadratic formula approach, right? But because we have 4 options here and there is nothing stating that, hey, this may not have any answer or is prime, I'm supposing that this is not prime, and it's obviously not prime. So if this is factorable, I'm checking my first term here, 2x squared, which means I should have a 2x. I should have a 2x as the first term in the first binomial, and then x as the first term in the second binomial, because 2x times x is 2x squared. Now I'm checking my final term. My last term is a positive one, which means I should have either negative or minus minus or plus plus. Let's keep the minus minus here. Now, obviously we know the answer and we know there's going to be 2x minus something. But whatever numbers I have in here, their product should be 5. Okay? And I'm looking at integers here. And 5 has only 2 possible integers factors, either negative 1, well, more than 2, but I'm just saying that it's either negative 1 and negative 5, right? Or 1 and 5. Okay, these are the 2 possibilities for 5. 5 doesn't have any other factors except itself, and 1, obviously, because it's a prime number. Okay, so I can either have 1 and 5, or I can have minus 5 and minus 1, right? Backwards. I can have 2x minus 5 times x minus 1 equals 0. Now, if you do the foiling here, you will realize that, the second possibility doesn't work. Alright? And by the way, if this should be the answer, then either one of this binomial should be equal to 0, right? Which means 2x minus 5 should be equal to 0. If you add 5 to both sides, you have 2x, trying to solve, right? 2x equals 5, which gives you one value as x equals 5 halves. If you check each one of your options here, there is none like that, which means this is not a good answer. And that one better be the answer. You should check x equals 5 and x equals 1 half. Obviously, this is the problem we're looking for, right? Because each one of these binomials have to be equal to 0. Remember the zero product property, a times b equals 0, will imply that either a equals 0 or b equals 0 or both, right? And that's why by this approach you can find the answer very quick. Now this is one other method. There is another one, okay? Another one will require you to identify your coefficients, right? Remember the quadratic formula that says your x1 or 2, the 2 roots, will be negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, if this gives you a headache and you don't remember this, please check on the first or second page in your booklet for the proficiency exam, because you will have the all these formulas there. Okay? Now, identifying your a, b, and c. Well, a is the coefficient of your x squared, b is going to be the coefficient of your x, and make sure you take the sign that's in front of it, right? And c is going to be the other one. So if you identify them, you're going to say a equals 2, b equals negative 11, c equals 5 for this problem. And the very first step you have to take always, if you're following this approach, this path, would be to find your discriminant, your delta, which is this quantity here under the square root, okay? b squared minus 4ac, because if this one is negative, you have no real solutions, which means your trinomial is not prime. Do you guys remember that? So let's find out. b squared, 11, negative 11 squared, right? Minus 4 times a times 2 times c times 5. I'm using parentheses here just for you to understand which one, what substitution I'm using. 11 minus 11 squared would be positive 121, minus 4 times 2 is 8, times 5 will be 40, right? So 121 minus 40 is 81. This is greater than 0. I've got 2 roots, right? Which means my trinomial is factorable. And then just plugging this back in, you have what? Your x1 or 2 will be equal to minus b minus negative 11 is going to be positive 11 plus minus square root of your b squared minus 4ac, which is 81 over 2 times a over 2 times 2. And this gives you what? 11 plus or minus 9, because square root of 81 is 9, over 4, and you have the 2 roots. 11 plus 9 would be 20 over 4. That gives you a 5. And 11 minus 9 is going to be 2 over 4. That will be your second root, 1/2. 5 and 1/2. Same answer. And you're done. And I've showed you 3 ways, 3 approaches to solve a similar problem like this on the proficiency exam. Okay? Use whichever fits you, okay? And try to remember and to notice what the emphasis should be and where you should pay attention, and you're going to be fine. Well, this is it. Thank you.